Hello, my friends. Halina here from the Joy Keepers Network. It's been a busy time for me. I've been to a couple of fantastic seminars and have been overflown with golden nuggets and insights and tools and all kinds of good things. But most of all, it has been a powerful experience each time, in the sense that being in the presence of many light workers created an energetical field that really pushed me forward and inspired me in ways that weren't planned by the seminar, I think, or by the seminar founders. And it was a great, great gift on top of the other gifts. And I wanted to share some of it with you because one of the things that came like really in front of me was the fact that we live difficult lives in the sense that on one hand there is the work that we're here to do. So many of us are inspired to do some work in the world, and maybe you know exactly what it is, or maybe you're coming closer to it, but you know that there is a certain direction you're moving in. And at the same time, there is this awakening awareness that what really matters is living here and now in this moment with this presence. This is all there is. So how do you do both? So we live like in a power field or in a magnetic field where there's this movement forward and there's this staying here and now. And this sounds maybe very like esoteric and theoretical, but it really translates into something very practical, such as how do you spend your time? How do you live your life? At least for me, it becomes these questions because I have so many projects. I've always had all my life. I am this creative type, as I know many of you are. So new ideas come up, and I have, the book, the speaking, the teaching, the coaching, the Joy Keepers Network, last but not least, and other projects sometimes. And every time I try to reduce it, it becomes then I'm like happy for a little while, and then new projects arise. So what do you do with all that? This has always been a challenge for me, and I know I'm not the only one. And then with this presence thing, right? How are you present and relaxed and still moving forward and not just being laid back to a degree where you get nothing done? How do you do that? So part of it is about being very present while doing something, and I think I addressed some of it. Not like fully addressed, but I talked about it in a previous video. But one thing that also is very helpful, as I just found out, is have a perspective. And the way that perspective came for me was that I was actually, I've always, for quite a long time, I had a sense of how much longer I'm going to work. Let's just say it this way. And the other day, it came with quite a precision for me. Like, I know how many more years I'm going to work. And this is, you could say, intuition, or maybe life is teasing me and giving me a frame, like a end goal, so that I get my stuff together. I don't know. And you can also play with it in any way you want. You can give yourself that limited time, and sometimes it's just one a day. We are in very different situations, all of us, but if you're one of those people that have the sense that you have many years and many projects, and it's kind of all over the place, then it can be very helpful to start thinking that while you are an eternal soul and while your journey is endless, this life is not. And if you look at it that way, then ask yourself this question: what is my legacy? The reason why you want to ask it is partly because it will give you a sense of direction that you may not have expected that you could find. At least this is how it worked for me, and I know it works like that for other people. And it is also helpful for your surroundings, actually, because when you become a person that has that kind of clarity more and more, it affects you. It affects how you relate to other people. It affects how you work with these things you work with. And it also affects how present you are where you are, because you start making choices. And of course, it goes beyond that too, because as you become more aware and more confident about your legacy, then you're also able to give more to the world. And you are here to give something to the world. You have been giving all your life. For as long as you are alive, and you are in this very moment, and there's more days for sure, then there's more for you to give. And when you give from a place of greater clarity of what your legacy is, gifts are being given of greater impact. So just to give you an example, in my case, so I have all these different projects, and I, just to use the example of the Joy Keepers Network, that idea was born in me, I think, a couple of years ago, and I've been working with it, and there have been periods where I've been very inspired and working a lot around it, and then there's been a period of like stagnation during the summer. So maybe since June or something, and then it has been confusing for me. But then again, I've been working with other projects during that time, been working more with speaking, coaching. But when this thing came to me that I have so and so many years to work in, and then the question came in me: what is my legacy? Within like 1 minute, like literally, it all came like into alignment. And I knew my legacy is the Joy Keepers Network, and my legacy are the books that I'm to write. And it all kind of, to me, it makes great sense, because when I look at how my life has been, it's totally in alignment with that. And it doesn't mean that speaking and coaching and teaching or doing a Facebook Live isn't part of the legacy, but it's in a different way. It's like these two things, writing my books and making them available, and then building the Joy Keepers Network and making it available, is something that can stay the day I don't work anymore, for whatever reason, either because I'm not here anymore, or because it's time for me to rest or do something other creative. And as soon as I knew that, it's like, again, everything came like do, and I knew my priorities exactly. And the next thing that happened is that I started giving more time to these two main projects, which I haven't done before, I have to say, because I knew these were important projects, but so were other projects. But all of a sudden I realized, wow, I need to give it more time. So that was one thing that happened. And the next thing that happened was that the way I am arriving in the work that I do has become even more present and more expansive and more dedicated and more committed, because I know this is my legacy. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm here to do. But also, I'm 64. I don't have like 100 years to make it happen. And I do have big visions, So there's this sense, it's not stressful. It's more like, I want to do this, and my time is limited, and this is how I'm going to do it. And another thing that also happens is that I become more committed to this 80-20 thing. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there is this theory that proves to be true again and again in all kinds of work, is that we tend to spend 20% of our time on what has the greatest impact, what has the 80% impact, and the other way around, that we tend to do 80% of what we do tends to have like 20% impact. So that sounds perhaps confusing, but the essence of it is to spend our times on the 20% that have the greatest impact. So I find myself now with this joyful experience of, I have limited time and this is my legacy and this is what I'm here to do. And I feel the energy flowing through me as I commit to it. There's also like a much greater clarity, like this is important, this is not important. You know, how I change this little thing on my website doesn't matter, but how I build the big and powerful foundation for the Joy Keepers Network is, and how I develop it from here. And these steps are important and these are not. It's so helpful. It gives me such a sense of joyful direction and presence in what I do. So if that speaks to you, and I know it will to many of you, because we are on parallel tracks, we are in similar situations, even if we have each our own thing, then I invite you to do the same. You can, if that is meaningful to you. It may not to be. Like, ask yourself, you know, how much time am I given for this project? But if you're younger or if you're in a different situation, it may not work. But then ask something else. Ask, what is my legacy? What is my legacy? And if some of your legacy isn't given yet, and you have the energy and the inspiration to go for it, then go for it, and then align everything around it and see how that feels. I'm super excited about it, and I'm super curious about what this awakens in you, what this triggers in you, perhaps, maybe what challenges in you, how it feels. Let me know. And thank you for listening. Bye.